Ron Eslick is just about ready to hang up his ranching hat.
How big do you want your operation to be?
Well, enough to eat.
What was a herd of 40 just 5 years ago has now been cut down to 11.
What made you downsize?
The wolves. I wasn't going to feed the wolves.
Wolf packs have been an ongoing challenge for his small family-run operation for years. We first met Ron in 2018 as he led us on a tour of the U.S. Forest Service grazing allotment behind his property. His family has held the rights there for decades.
So how long has your family been up here on this land?
Since 47.
He told us wolves weren't a problem, though, until the last decade. Since about 2010, though, he says he's lost cattle to wolves almost every year, a financial loss of tens of thousands of dollars.
What do you say to the people who say, what do you expect these wolves to do? Because we're out in their territory.
Well, what I say to them is they don't know the situation. They don't know what's going on here.
And what was going on then, he says, is still going on today. Far northeast Washington remains home to the vast majority of the state's 30 wolf packs, at least 132 known wolves in total. But just across the state line, in Idaho, there are even more wolves, an estimated 1,500, living under very different rules.
Those guys are fighting an uphill battle.
Liz Wood is another family-based cattle rancher outside of Bonners Ferry. She tells me it's never been an easy lifestyle, but living in Idaho does make it easier.
Our atmosphere in Boise, where a lot of our legislatures have an agricultural background, that makes Idaho pretty lucky.
Where hunting and trapping wolves is illegal in Washington, it's allowed in Idaho, and it's what ranchers all across the state say gives them a fighting chance to stay in business.
We actually love wildlife. That's why we have so much wildlife here.
Liz tells me in her decades of ranching, she's never lost a cow to wolves.
There's quite a few trappers and hunters around here, and I attribute our luck to them.
If they weren't allowed to be out here trapping, if they couldn't hunt, do you think you could have your operation as it is?
No. I'm not sure what we would do.
In Idaho, they listen to you pretty good because we're primarily a rural state. They understand the problem.
Mike Rapati also lives outside of Bonners Ferry, just a few miles from the Canadian border. He tells me ranching is no longer just about cows.
Is it getting harder to be a cattle rancher?
It's getting so you have to pay more attention to politics. You have to be involved.
And conservationists agree wolf management is more political than ever. When Idaho Governor Brad Little signed a bill last year allowing up to 90% of the state's wolf population to be killed, it drew a firestorm of criticism.
This is not about even hunting and trapping. It's truly about exterminating a population of animals.
Chris Bachman used to work for the Lands Council, but is now starting his own conservation group, hoping to take on what he calls a more holistic approach to wildlife preservation.
So it's very clear both states are kind of approaching wolf management very differently, but the wolf populations in both states are actually growing. What does that tell you as a conservationist?
Well, it tells me that the Endangered Species Act works, right? When you offer protections to animals and protect their habitat, they will recover.
Does that maybe place an unfair burden, though, since that is where many of these ranchers live and are trying to make a living?
Well, no, I don't think it's an unfair burden. I mean, we also have to look at the fact that these guys are subsidized grazing on public land, right? So the burden that is placed upon them by having a wolf population present is balanced by the fact that they're paying a penance to graze our public lands.
He also believes what happens to wolves in Idaho could soon have a direct and negative impact on ranchers in Washington.
We still have wolves coming in from Idaho that are feeding the wolf population in Northeast Washington. If you take that away, that source of wolves coming in, the number of wolves that are going to be there to move west, where we need to have them go, is decreasing.
In order for Washington to remove wolves from the endangered species list and lift some of the rules that protect them, pack numbers have to grow beyond Northeast Washington. The Department of Fish and Wildlife acknowledges the species is exceeding recovery goals in Northeast Washington, but the goal is to see consistent pack numbers in all 4 recovery regions of the state, and it can't happen if we keep killing them. But for ranchers like Eslick, it's no longer worth the fight.
I wish they would come out and see what actually is happening.
So Ron no longer even uses that grazing allotment behind his property anymore. Instead, he says he just keeps his cows in a fenced pasture. It is more expensive, but he says it's really the only way to truly protect his herd. If you would like to read more of our years-long coverage of this challenge, especially up in Ferry County, just text the word wolf to 509-448-2000. We'll send that link right to your phone.